Gluten Tag last week marked a very important milestone for me. I announced around 6 months ago that I'm going to be starting a bakery. Not just any bakery, it's going to be a delivery bakery. And after lots of trial and error last week, I finally sent my first bread to the first customer. And I wasn't so sure how good the bread is going to be. And that's why I asked Alex to make a review. So she's the first person that tested my bread for this channel. I'm a little scared, but also at the same time super excited what she has to say about this bread. Let's have a look at some of the footage. Beautiful effect right here. So one of the problems that I had is that this gluten tag stamp that I tried to put here on top of the dough, on top of the bread, didn't really come through. So that's something I have to fix. I need to use rice flour for that. Gluten Tag, it's sort of the slogan of my channel. It's Guten Tag, but Gluten Tag, a German way for saying good day. So yeah, the idea is you receive the bread, it's half baked, it's finished baking, but it doesn't have the crust yet. And that's what you do is you just take the bread and you put that into the oven for another 10 minutes or so until you have a nice crust. And then you'll have fresh bread, that amazing scent all over in your kitchen. Such an amazing experience. And only works because we are using sourdough. We're just using flour, water, and salt. The acidity is going to make sure that the bread doesn't mold. And that was one of the things that I was scared about. It took a while for the bread to arrive. But it seems, at least here, when I'm looking at this bread right now, there's no mold. Gluten Tag. I'm so hungry now. I haven't eaten something yet today. This looks delicious. But how's it gonna taste? That's the experience that I want. You take out the bread.
So
it must smell
bread
so
is
good
baked. It went a little black.
Here, I don't know if you can see that, but here in the front, there's this small, tiny little defect.
On top,
Here,
because our
below the hand.
sucks.
I need to fix that.
It has a nice feeling to it.
Nice.
The crust is definitely
Is it crisp?
crusty.
Could be a little darker.
My wonderful assistant will now cut a slice of it.
Nice
Also
bread.
ignore the fact that we don't have a proper bread knife.
You're excused. I also didn't have a proper bread knife for some time. Sometimes I just, like to tear the bread apart and eat it like that. Wait, is that a steak knife? That's so cool. And how does the crumb look like? Crumb. I'm always saying crumb, but it should be crumb. Wow. Very open. A bit too open almost.
Yeah, so it turned out a little bubbly. Definitely springy.
How are you gonna put jam on top of that? It's too open.
So
It's a little bit too bubbly, I guess.
Yes, so a too open crumb is sometimes not so good too. I think it's gonna change the moment I make two breads at the same time. I have to pre-shape the dough after cutting it into smaller pieces, and that automatically makes the crumb a little bit more even. So that might be fixed then. At least I hope. Here, because I was just making one dough at the same time, I wouldn't do the pre-shaping. So the crumb stays relatively open and doesn't degas as much. It's of course personal preference, but to me at least, this is too open.
yeah. This part is better actually.
Yes, but in the middle it's too bubbly, but I guess this is maybe because it was too long. The delivery went too long. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, so it was sent on Saturday and it came on Tuesday.
It was sent on Saturday. I actually sent it on Friday, and I used the express option because I wanted this bread to arrive at Alex's place on Saturday. So I even paid a little bit more, and it arrived on Tuesday. That's so late. I'm just so glad that it didn't catch any mold.
Let's
Maybe.
smell the bread. It smells sour.
but it smells good.
Good
But
and
let's
sour.
now let's try maybe first before without
Yes.
butter and then.
That's how you want to taste the bread.
Yes.
First without butter and then with some butter. And? Oh, yes. You hear the crust crack, but it could be a little bit more.
It has a really nice crust.
Thank you.
I mean, it tastes like sourdough.
Mhm. Is that good or bad? Oh, it's so fluffy.
I don't know, maybe a bit too sour.
Oh, that's really interesting because I opted for the stiff stutter, and Alex is saying it might even be too sour. I'm just glad that it's a little bit more sour in this case because I guess with less acidity we might have run into the mold situation because it was just for so long in the plastic bag.
Maybe a little more soft would help.
Let's
Interesting.
try butter.
But there,
Oh, with butter.
No,
Soft butter.
I think if the delivery wasn't so long, it would have turned out better. But,
Okay, well
you
noted.
need
Thank you.
4 days to deliver a bread, so
Imagine
that's
I
the
would
reason.
send this to the USA. That would be maybe 7 days if you were to send it express. Would that even work? Global bread distribution. Ooh, that's some nice flaky salt you got there. Ah, yes. This is what you want to do. This is what you want to do. Cheersing with sourdough bread.
This is nice.
with butter and a little bit of salt, it tastes really, really nice.
I want to try this now.
But yes, I think
I think also Alex could have waited just a little bit longer, maybe 10 minutes more or so before slicing it, because you can see the way it is cut that it tore a little bit. And if you just wait a little bit longer while it's not so hot anymore, that just helps to cut the bread a little bit better. And I think this is something that I would also need to include in the manual. Actually, in fact, I didn't send Alex any manual at all. She just did it like that. So yeah, kudos.
I don't know if is the fermentation process going on when the bread is being delivered, because it was half baked.
Yes, that's actually a very good point, Alex. So that's the idea. After 30 minutes of a bake, the core temperature of the bread should be at around 95 degrees Celsius. This is something you want to measure. In general, this is always the temperature that you're aiming for. So the moment you have 95 degrees Celsius, most of the microorganisms are already dead. Kind of sad if you think about it. But this means it's not going to continue ferment afterwards. At 95, the center of your bread is already done. All that's missing is that you get that delicious crust. And you can get that delicious crust in your home oven. That's what this whole idea is about pretty much. So the hard part is the first part of the bake. The second part you can just replicate in any oven. For the first part you want to make sure that you have enough steam and everything. It's kind of frustrating a little bit, but the second part is typically very easy. And that's what I want to use for the bakery.
I don't know.
Because it seems to me a little bit as if the fermentation escalated a little bit.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have let it ferment for as long. I mean, it was a stiff cider, so in general it doesn't get as sour, but maybe I just pushed the fermentation boundaries a little bit too much. That's the hard part about sourdough. It's always slightly different from bake to bake, so none of my breads are always going to be exactly the same. So yeah, quality control could be an issue.
And I think it would have been better if it was delivered quicker than in 4 days. All
Definitely.
in all, would you buy the bread? I would buy it.
Thank you, Alex. This is really good feedback. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
It's a really nice concept.
And it's not that sourdough, you don't get this at the local bakery.
Sadly.
Yeah, so
It's very hard to find proper sourdough these days. It's just so complicated to make it. That's why most bakeries prefer to bake with yeast. It's much more controllable, much more reproducible.
I mean, I am living in Germany, so I will definitely order it.
Thank
Maybe,
you.
One should think of something better than the express DHL delivery because it didn't work that well. And I think it's not that.
DHL, that's like UPS. Wait, DHL is also in the US, I think.
For the bread to travel like for 4 days. But all in all, I think.
Yeah, thank you for sending us the bread.
Thank you so much. It was such an honor to receive the first prototype of your homemade factory bread, I guess.
My pleasure.
Bye.
What an awesome review from Alex. Thank you so much. This really means a lot. So much great feedback, so many things to learn from this experiment. What are your main takeaways from this review by Alex? What do you think I should change? Please share it in the comment section. I'm gonna be taking that feedback and then it's time for round 2. I'm gonna be making 2 more breads again and I wanna try something totally crazy. I'll be sending out one of them again in Germany and the next one is gonna go to the US. Do you think that that's gonna work? Are we gonna have some issues with the customs? I'm very excited to see what's gonna happen. Let's try it. If you're interested to receive the bread and you can make a similar review like Alex did, no fancy equipment needed, then please just join our Discord channel, join the bakery channel. I'm gonna be asking in there and the first person to respond is gonna receive the bread. Super eye-opening for me and yeah, thank you again so much, Alex. Thanks for watching and as always, may the gluten be with you. Thank you so much. It was awesome.